What's going on? Boys, thanks to our patrons and Fiverr customers, arm yourselves, life stuff. Now, either I'm getting sick, or 4 hours a night for 2 months is starting to catch up with me, so we'll try to keep this brief. Talking spiritualism today. We'll start with some small stuff before getting into the primary topic. For those of you participating in the dream test, starting in 4 or 5 days, have you noticed people talking about dreams more often? I don't know about you, but all of a sudden in my life, everybody's talking about dreams, and weird nighttime shit is happening. Apparently, I screamed in the middle of the night, and I don't remember that. I don't think anything would. It's confusing because I used to sleepwalk. Sometimes drunk, sometimes not. And the idea I might still be sleepwalking is a terrifying prospect. All I remember dreaming about last night was first some blonde woman sitting on my bed and ripping ass until I couldn't take it. So I went to the bathroom, went back to sleep, and then I dreamt about a midnight release of another cut of Apocalypse Now at a Walmart and talking to Martin Sheen cosplaying Willard and asking him about which cut he likes best. So, two really choice, excellent dreams in a row, nothing I would be screaming about, and two separate people who were important to me in the last week mentioned to me. I played different roles in whatever dreams of theirs I showed up in, but I had cuts and bruises on my face, and these people have never talked to me about dreams before. I don't know what's going on, but I'm very excited to see how this dream test turns out. Now, anyway, on to this video's main topic. Christians keep showing up on this channel for some reason, and as annoying as they are, their opposition and annoyance is useful in they force you to review and consider what you believe and why you believe it. Mosquito hawks don't actually hunt mosquitoes, but they're still useful to the ecosystem because they die after making a bunch of noise and somehow showing up in your house repeatedly. Now, Christian opposition, or really any written religious opposition, puts me in a weird spot because I would consider my spiritual beliefs liquid. And what I mean by that is there is certainly something there. You can see it, you can feel it, and it can take forms, but it never stays in one form. It's always changing and it's always dependent on the situation or the container. So I'll have one formulation of what I think might be going on at one moment, and then a month later I'll have a different formulation. So the form I'm thinking of, or the form the water takes, is different, but it's still water. Ergo, if you're trying to pin down your beliefs and your beliefs are water, they're inconsistent, or they're inconsistent outside the fact they exist and you can feel them, then your source of certainty, the thing you can pin down, is your perception and what you're perceiving, or the medium you're perceiving it through. One of the reasons I don't like Christianity and other organized religions or spiritual philosophies, all of them, frankly, they just don't show up on my doorstep as often. The Muslims we have on the channel are generally pretty high level and cool, the way the Christians used to be. The closest, most annoying are the Western Buddhists, but I know the Muslims will start annoying me at some point, and the Jews, I don't even want to think about that. You you would think Satanists hate Christians above all others. No, Satanists hate Jews. Satanists hate Jews more than they hate Christians. I don't know why. I dislike written religions of any form because in all cases the hand of man presents itself as the word of God or the will of nature, and it's not. Getting your spirituality from a recorded or structured, organized religion, and people say, well, don't look at the religion, look at the words. You dumb fuck. The words are the religion. They come from man. It's like you're starving and you buy street food from India. You might get some nourishment right now, and it might even taste good, but India is a superpower now, so they aren't making your food with feces fingers, they're making it with radioactive fingers. Basically the same thing. And you'll be vomiting all that nutrition you ate up sooner than later, and then some. And now you're going to be even weaker, even more confused, even hungrier. They tell you it's food, it's not. It's Rahid pranking you and earning a little bit of money in the process. Tell your friends, and then your stupid ass does, and now everybody's vomiting. Because you thought you were getting universal purity, but in reality, you are getting the word of man, not the word of God. So, if you feel that spiritual call or that soul hunger, where's one to turn? I say creation, the universe, reality, whatever word you want to use with quietly different associations to describe the same thing. And the reason these sorts of YouTube Christians annoy me is they're bad representations of what I would consider decent Christians. And we actually had decent Christians, or at least more pure Christians, not that long ago. So you go back to Gnosticism. That was a conception of spirituality, technically Christian, but informed by reality, interacting with reality. You go back to the Puritans, not that long ago. Anything but pure, sure, but some of those purer drives are still there. I forget where it's from or where. It's some colonial Puritan writing, but make of your. Make your altar of unhewn stone, i.e., don't worship in a church, not even a humble little gathering place. You worship in nature. An unhewn or unworked stone should be your altar. Now, the Puritans fucked it up with books and a bunch of other stuff, but that unhewn stone shit is like a leftover of evolution, a dog's dew claw, evidence of an earlier, more refined, or perhaps less refined time. Existence alone will teach you. Now, you might not like what existence straight has to teach you, like vodka straight, but it is like drinking, right? These mixed drinks are organized religions. There's just a splash of alcohol in there and a bunch of shit, sugary shit, and you keep drinking them. You keep drinking these cocktails to get more, attempting to get it more of that splash of alcohol, and then you wake up the next morning hungover because of all the additives. Versus if you, because you want the alcohol, right? But you don't have the willpower to develop the palate to take it straight. If you do develop that palate and you do take it straight because the alcohol is what you want, not only do you get a better drunk, you also don't have a hangover, really. Or at least not as bad of one. We take breaks from magic sometimes because even pure spirits, disinfecting spirits, fuck you up sometimes if you overdo it. You'll find the straight path without a book. Worship is not on bended knee. Make your altar of unhewn stone. You don't need to understand musical theory or even know what an instrument is to hear music and enjoy it and be curious about it. And something Alan Watts said about religions. Religions or spiritual philosophies are like the wrapping around a present. The wrapping is important. It's appetizing, it's exciting, it's brilliant, it's colorful, but the wrapping isn't what you're supposed to be paying attention to. It's what the wrapping is enclosing. And how much attention do you pay to wrapping paper after you've unwrapped your gift? I still don't like trying to define too much too heavily, but it's one of the reasons I appreciate left hand path, golden middle, and right hand path as scaffolding for understanding. Because you'll notice once people ascend through whatever their spiritual philosophy is past a certain point, once they've evolved beyond it, even if the religion or spiritual philosophy they started with still informs the flavor of how they present themselves and how they speak, basically they're operating within one of those three camps. Left-hand path, golden middle, right-hand path. Even if they are wearing Christian or Buddhist or Muslim clothes. And I think the reason you don't see people levitating and casting fireballs and performing miracles, at least in the ways we would traditionally understand them, is that evolution is as high as the baseliner human can get. But that's assuming humans are supposed to get anywhere. And I'm beginning to think that's not necessarily the case. Because if student and teacher, perceiver and perceived, you and existence is the straight path, that's the purest form of knowing or learning, then you already have it. You don't need to do anything to fulfill your purpose other than perceive. And you'll be perceiving whether or not you want to, as long as you're alive. So you've won by default. And you stay winning by default. Doing more is optional, and if you choose to do more, you choose it because it's fun. And you choose to perceive as much as you can perceive. Or not. Limiting your perception is equally as valid. Because you're perceiving, you still are. You're still perceiving, it's just a different form of perception. But I say all this, and I mean it, and then tomorrow I talk about how essential shadow development is, and demons, and magic, and all these different gods and all that, and I mean that too. It's liquid. Not only do we not know, I think we can't know. So you're talking about belief, what someone should or shouldn't believe, or does and doesn't believe. If you want to try to pin it down, you formulate earnestly with perceptions or ingredients you're given, like there is something to figure out, and then you do the same thing the next day, again and again. There is nothing to pin down. There is just liquid, happy to take whatever shape you form it into or try to conform it to today, and then it breaks free because every time you think you know anything, you're proven wrong. But you still think you can figure things out, and you can figure things out until reality decides to stop playing with you and wants to play a different game, and then you work on the different game the next day. It's really hard to explain, but it's one of the reasons I enjoy reading Chaos Magician shit, even though I don't completely agree with them. Or maybe it's I don't agree with their wording. Again, you so badly want everything to be clearly written and easily understood with lots of little steps that make you feel good, like you're getting somewhere, when in reality, it is a contradiction because it is a non-dualistic is pretending to be dualistic, but to be dualistic, or to... Shit. We perceive is and is not, when in reality, there is an is without an is not, but that doesn't, or that makes it not an is, because for is, there needs to be an is not. Again, it doesn't matter. This is the reason proselytizing low-level any religious group bugs me. You can't even decide if your invented version of God is omniscient or not, when it, if you can call it an it, is so far beyond words, it's mind-breaking. How do you define something so grand you can't conceive of it, yet you perceive always? You fucking chimpanzees and your tithes. Another component of all this, too, is I think I find organized religions disrespectful to creation. Yet, if they weren't supposed to exist, then they wouldn't exist. Why does the monk smoke and fuck prostitutes while still being a monk? Because it's super important and it doesn't matter. But it's super important and it doesn't matter. You, little ego, even many little egos, you're never going to figure it out. All you can do is play if you want to, but you'll still be playing if you don't want to. You'll just think you aren't playing and you'll call it something else, and try to convince other people you're doing something else. But we'll cut it here. I enjoy making videos because even when I'm feeling sick, I get nice and riled up enough I don't feel sick. There are too many things to believe, and too many ways to believe them, and they change constantly. Altar of Unhewn Stone. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you haven't.